Hello. All right. So I finally managed to build this bookshelf, which was an ordeal. Building furniture is not my favorite thing to do, and this took me about 3 days. I kept putting everything on backwards. Like I would put things upside down, I would put things backwards. It would be like I'd have to keep like flipping things around and shifting things up and down, and it broke in half like 5 or 6 times, and then it all culminated in me putting the backing on backwards. So now the nice parts on the back and the ugly parts on the front, and like I don't care, it's done. So we're just moving on with our lives. And because I built this shelf, I mean, this means that I finally have a place to put all my Blu-rays. And it turns out, because they were just kind of drifting around, I have way more Blu-rays than I thought I did. Like this thing can hold like 230 Blu-rays or something, and I might be close to that already. I might have to get and build another one of these, which please God no. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Until then, I can start showing you what I have in my collection. So far, I'm doing. I used to collect DVDs. It took me a long time to. It takes me a long time to adopt new technologies because I'm always like the current technology is fine. And then after a while, I'm just like, why not? So now I'm on to Blu-rays. I know everybody else is on to 4K. I might get on to 4K event. I'll tell you this. I got on Amazon the other day, and 4K TVs are a lot more affordable these days than I thought they were. So that might be coming. But in the meantime, I got a lot of Blu-rays. So we're just going to start going through some of these. I'm just going to run through them until I feel like the video is going on for too long or it's too boring. I got a couple big stacks of them next to me. Starting with Beasts of the Southern Wild. And this is a good one to start with because this is one of my all-time favorite movies. Like quite possibly like a top 20 movie for me. And this was a debut feature by this guy, Ben Zeitlin, who he's only made one other movie since. He made this movie, Wendy, which was a new take on Peter Pan. And I thought that was a really cool movie, really beautiful movie in a lot of ways. But this is just such a special film. You have these amazing performances by these, at the time, non-actors or actors with very limited experience. Quvenzhané Wallis, the little girl in this who got nominated for an Oscar, very rightly so. And the guy who plays her father, Dwight Henry, who was just, I think, just like a baker who you know, just came in and auditioned when they were filming in New Orleans. And the performances in this are so powerful and the imagery is so striking. I mean, it's essentially a coming of age movie mixed with kind of a dystopian thing and like magical realism elements. And this has by Ben himself and Dan Romer, who is one of my favorite film composers, but the two of them together created for this one of the great film soundtracks ever. I think that may be my favorite, up there with another movie we might get to at some point. I don't know if it's in here, but Miller's Crossing. Those two are probably my favorite film soundtracks ever written. Um, Especially the song. If you want to try out one song from this soundtrack, the track "Once There Was a Hush Puppy" is absolutely incredible. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful film, and if you haven't checked it out, highly recommended. What else we got here? We got The Breakfast Club, John Hughes. This is the 25th anniversary edition, which I guess that means it has some like behind the scenes documentaries on it and stuff, which is nice. I am a big John Hughes fan. I mean, I think in terms of like serio comedy, like blending genuinely funny movies with elements that are, a lot more heartfelt, he always did that balance super well in this, and especially in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is my favorite of his, and Ferris Bueller. He was always really good at that. It's a nice movie. Uh, Calvary. Uh, this is by John Michael McDonough, who is the brother of Martin McDonough, who I'm also a huge fan of. He did one of my favorite movies, In Bruges, which I think is in here somewhere. And recently did Banshees of Sharon, among a lot of them, 3 Billboards. Well, we'll talk about Martin McDonagh later, but his brother is a little less known, John Michael McDonagh, and I think he is also a really remarkably gifted filmmaker and writer. And this is a really powerful movie with a great cast in it. I mean, you can see Brendan Gleeson there, and actually his son Domhnall Gleeson, who's also a really good actor. They have a scene together, which is nice, really powerful scene, and a lot of good actors in here, like Chris O'Dowd's in here, Dylan Moran's in here, Emmett Walsh. Even I think it was one of his last performances on film. So yeah, the very impactful, underrated movie. I recommend, and I know I have another John Michael McDonagh in here. Yeah, I have War on Everyone, and this is a really strange movie. This is not going to be for everybody, but it's kind of a dark comedy kind of crime movie, and it's very strange tonally, but it really appeals to me. I thought it was a super fun movie. Let's see. Captain America: Civil War. I believe. Do I have? Yeah, I have Winter Soldier in here too. These are a couple of the best Marvel films to date, I think. I mean, this one was really the film that got me into Marvel, got me interested in the franchise. Just a really cool political thriller, with Robert Redford like lending his gravitas to it. It's a really unique film still in the MCU. Though it looks like the new Captain America: Brave New World, based on the trailers, is gonna kind of go for a similar vibe of that like political thriller paranoia thing, which is interesting. That'll be cool. And then Civil War, I think, is just a great example of there's like goofiness in here and bombast, but there's also like real emotion in here and complexity, moral complexity, and I think it's a very well written and beautifully assembled movie. I really like Civil War, and I like that movie Civil War from this year, which is completely different movie, but it's also a really good movie. I'll get that on DVD at some point, Blu-ray. Carlito's Way, uh, by Brian De Palma. I'm not a huge De Palma guy, but he has a couple movies I enjoy, and I've always thought of Carlito's Way as kind of like an alternate universe version of Scarface, where Scarface is really good. I don't know. I'm not a huge Scarface guy, but I think this is a wonderful movie, and I love Sean Penn in this. It's one of his weirder performances, more interesting performances. Got a oh my god, I dropped it. Oh sweet Jesus! All right, I got a couple of John Wick steelbooks. I got to get the steelbooks for 3 and 4 too as well. But I'm a huge fan of the John Wick movies. Just the stunt work in them and the choreography and all of that. And Keanu Reeves is just sheer commitment to that franchise. They're a lot of fun, I think, and I know that the weird, complex mythology isn't for everybody, but I love it. Like the more convoluted, the better. Like it just gets increasingly insane, and I'm like totally on board. Nebraska. This is a huge favorite of mine. This was one of my favorite movies of that decade, of the 2010s. And this is also probably my favorite Alexander Payne movie, which is saying something because he is one of my favorite directors. It's either this or Election. They're very close, but I think these days I lean more toward Nebraska. I just think this is a really sweet and beautiful movie with amazing performances from Bruce Dern and June Squibb, and a really good performance by Will Forte as well. And this was the year I think that who won actor this year? It was a heavy hitter. I think it was like Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club won this year, so he was obviously going to win Best Actor. But I would have voted for Bruce Dern that year. I think he's insanely good in that movie. We got the 15th anniversary of Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's first movie. You don't have too much to say about that. It's just a really fun script, really great ensemble cast. Pick Up on South Street. This is a movie that I probably love more than anybody else on the planet. Like, most people see this and they're probably like, oh, it's like a fun, communist paranoia thriller. That's a pretty good time. For whatever reason, this movie just makes me so happy. Like, this is probably like a top 10 movie for me. And it's like these little touches of surreality that Samuel Fuller, the director, brings to it, that are just, it's a very grounded movie, but you have these odd little moments that just, make it delightful. And you got Richard Widmark and Gene Peters are both wonderful in this, but the highlight is definitely Thelma Ritter, who has, that really kind of dry, sardonic kind of sense of humor. And in this film, you really feel for her character. You understand how she's turned into kind of this more kind of bitter person, and you just hope she'll be all right. And facing a lot of adversity and whatnot, and your heart kind of goes out to her. But yeah, this is a Criterion release, so this is actually a 4K restoration. So once I get my 4K TV, it'll look good on here. But you can play this on Blu-ray players too. But yeah, because it's a Criterion, tons of cool special features. And it's got a real nice booklet full of information. So yeah, I love Criterions. I got a bunch more Criterions. We'll get them going in here. Black Swan, as you can see, I got a good deal on this at Big Lots. I haven't opened it yet, but yeah, $5, pretty cool. This is an amazing movie. Darren Aronofsky is a fascinating filmmaker because it's like a love it or hate it thing for me. Like, he's made a couple of my favorite movies, like Black Swan and The Wrestler and Requiem for a Dream. But then he's made some stuff that I just didn't respond to at all, really, like The Fountain. And his last movie, The Whale, it had like elements I liked and elements that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So he's like inconsistent for me. Mother is the same way. It has like very high highs, very low lows. So he's kind of all over the place, in my estimation. But when he's great, he's really, really great. And this is one of his absolute best movies. Natalie Portman won the Oscar for this, and I think that was totally justified. But I don't think it should have stopped there. I think it should have won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography. It's just a really fun, insane kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Hallucinatory kind of thriller. It's real good. Boiler Room. I have a weird love for Boiler Room. I don't know what it is. I guess it's like a a rise and fall, kind of fall from grace thing. There's like an inherent kind of fascination to that, and and you get to see these people who prey on people financially kind of get what's coming to them, which is always nice. And this was the first thing I think that I saw Vin Diesel in, and he has like a great monologue in this, where he plays this really awful guy who's manipulating this doctor on the phone into buying, stocks in something or something. I don't know anything about economics, but it's a great scene. And if you like stuff like Wolf of Wall Street or something, this is basically just a smaller, simpler kind of version of that story of Wall Street, movies like that. I really like it for some reason. I don't know. It's one of those movies like Shattered Glass, where it's just like, why do you love it so much? I'm not sure. I just really enjoy watching it. It comforts me. We got Casablanca. If I was forced to name a movie as the best movie of all time, I would probably say Casablanca. It's just, an astoundingly good script. Beautiful filmmaking by Michael Curtiz. Wonderful, very subtle performances by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. And there are tons of great supporting people in here too, like Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet and all of that. And what can you say about Casablanca? It's incredible. Plus, without Casablanca, we wouldn't have Barbed Wire, and what a crime that would be. Moonlight very deservedly, I think, beat La La Land at the Oscars that year. That was a relief for me when they announced that La La Land won. I mean, I was okay with it because that's a really good movie, but I was kind of disappointed because I think this is an exceptional movie, like incredible. And so I was relieved when it turned out there was a mistake, and this was actually what won. Like it's these three actors playing the same character, and just the continuity between their performances is so remarkable. Like they're able to give this character an arc, that's like, it's like very easy to track and very affecting. Three different actors who don't interact at all on screen are able to, perfectly modulate this character. It's crazy, and it's just an incredible piece of filmmaking from Barry Jenkins. And every time he goes out there, he knocks it out of the park. Unfortunately, he's directing the new Lion King movie, and I think it looks kind of awful, but we'll see. The Nice Guys. This is a super underrated movie by Shane Black. He's the guy who wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, wrote The Last Boy Scout, wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is another really fun movie. But this is definitely one of my favorite comedies of the last 10 years. I've seen this a million times. It makes me laugh every single time throughout. It's so much fun. Check it out. Evil Dead, the Evil Dead reboot by Fede Alvarez. I'm still not totally sure how to pronounce it, but this is awesome. This is, Fede. He's got Alien Romulus out right now, which I was a huge fan of. He did Don't Breathe, that I thought was great, even though it was one of the worst theater experiences I've ever had. But this movie's just a blast. And if you're a fan at all of the Sam Raimi movies, or even if you're not, and you just enjoy like a really fun, gory kind of horror, very dark comedy, yeah, check it out. Great performance by what's her name? Jane Levy. Who's Jane? No, Jane Lynch is a different actress. Jane Levy. She's great. Okay, what do we got here? We got Batman Returns, and I know I got Batman in this bag too. Let me see if I can pull out Batman, because we might as well get them done at the same time. Yeah, here you go. These are the two Tim Burton. Oh my God, the two Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman movies, both super fun. I'm more of a Batman Returns kind of guy because I think Tim Burton's personality comes through it a little more in there. He was kind of able to bring more of his sensibility to it, and I love Danny DeVito as Penguin. Fantastic. Um, let's see what else we got here. Oh, The Big Sick. This was a real surprise to me because, I really like some romantic comedies, but there hadn't been one in years that I've been interested in. And this was just a really heartfelt, funny, beautifully acted, beautifully written movie. And it's still the best romantic comedy I've seen in a very long time. So, highly recommend. We got Drive. There's a nice steel book of this I want to pick up instead. But yeah, Drive is awesome. It's easily the best thing Nicholas Winding Refn has done. Partially because he didn't write it, I think. I think Nicholas Winding Refn is one of those guys who's like brilliant from a visual standpoint, but he maybe needs somebody else to come in and write his scripts. And with this one, what's cool about it is that him and Ryan Gosling, went through and kind of changed things around a lot and removed a lot of dialogue for the character, and you get this really kind of enigmatic, very compelling kind of protagonist in here. Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen Drive. It's awesome. We got this beautiful Escape from New York steelbook. This is a Shout Factory steelbook. I have a couple more of these, and I'm going to be getting more because I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. Once I see all of John Carpenter's movies, I will get on here and do a ranking. There's still a couple I haven't seen. I haven't seen like Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I haven't seen Dark Star. There are a couple I haven't seen, but I'll get to them soon. But yeah, they do a beautiful job on these steelbooks. I'm a huge fan, and obviously this movie features Snake Plissken, who is, you can see him right there. He is the coolest character in the history of film. And we're going to end with another movie that might be in my top 10 movies of all time, A Face in the Crowd, directed by Elia Kazan. And if you've only seen Andy Griffith, on TV, in sitcoms and stuff, watch him in this. He's incredible. This is one of my all-time favorite performances. He's like terrifying in this movie. He's like sickening. It's incredible stuff. And it was a film that was very prescient in a lot of ways. It's the way that it predicted the way the political climate was going to shift into more of like a celebrity focused thing. And it's a very like disquieting movie, and I highly recommend, if it's not too depressing in light of where American politics have gone since. Not to get too political, and I'm not going to get super political on here. That's not what the channel's about. But anyway, I think that's good. That's like first batch of Blu-rays. I think I've been talking for long enough, so I'm going to put these on the shelf, and we'll do another batch of them soon. So, bye.